Good morning, friends. Today, I'd like to share with you my idea of why there's a big misunderstanding in the scientific world and much of the philosophical world and even the spiritual world about the nature of awareness. So I'll start off by saying that in my recent conversations with scientists, cosmologists, astrophysicists, some of which you will see here, every scientist that I've spoken to believes and is firmly of the opinion that the universe existed long before human beings appeared. So, the universe is 13.8 billion years old, according to our current standard models, the Big Bang, 13.8 billion years. There are a lot of problems with that model, but not going to go into that. But we are seeing cosmic wave radiation emerge from the early birth of the universe. So that's a very good model. And so most cosmologists are obviously of the opinion that the universe has existed for billions of years and humans have only existed for 200,000 years. And actually the cognitive revolution is not even 40,000 years when we started to create stories or models of experiences. So it's obvious that the universe existed long before there were human beings to experience it. And therefore, current science based on physicalism discards the idea of an observer-generated universe. So let me share with you what I think could clear up the understanding or misunderstanding of what is being claimed here. First of all, the experience of the universe, whatever it is, and we know that the universe is fundamentally made of nothing, free lunch, and yet we perceive it as physical. And then we create models out of our perception of the physical. But the physical is an interpretation of sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. Sense perception, sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. So we reduce the experience of the universe as physical, but an interpretation of fluctuations of awareness that we call the human mind. So the universe we perceive, you and I, is a perceptual experience in the human mind. Human mind as fluctuations, sensations, sense perceptions, images, feelings, thoughts. The universe we perceive. And even the history of the universe that we deduct as a result of our models is a creation of the human mind. Before the human mind observed, there was no experience that we call the physical universe as far as we are concerned. So what existed? What existed is, and I'm going to be very careful in how I choose my words, what existed is fundamental reality. And fundamental reality has to be awareness. I'm not saying human awareness or the human mind. I'm saying awareness by itself. Awareness which is formless, which is spaceless, which is timeless, which is irreducible, which is without cause, which has no beginning, no ending, and is an inconceivable, unimaginable, non-conceptualizable. I know I'm repeating my words redundantly, but also so fundamental that there's nothing behind it. Now, once we understand that, then what we call a person or a sentient being does not actually possess awareness. That sentient being is a modified form of awareness and is perceived as a biological organism. But the biological organism itself is a combination of species-specific sensations. Just one word. Images, feelings, thoughts are all sensations, sense perceptions. So we as biological organisms are instruments for the universe to know itself as this experience. But before we evolved, this biological organism evolved, there were other instruments, primates and mammals and reptiles and so on. So every biological organism is a mode of experiencing. Where or what is the observer? The observer actually is also a human construct, because the observer and that which is observed is born in every observation. Fundamentally, the field of consciousness is fluctuating instantly and constantly and ceaselessly, experiencing itself as infinite forms and phenomena with infinite observers and objects observed, all within itself through the act of observing. There is only the observing. The observer and observed are born in every moment of observing, and they also die in every moment of observing. So there's no real permanent observer. The observer is recycled through memory and also evolves as consciousness evolves. And so what we call the evolution of species is actually, in a way, the evolution of consciousness into maximum diversity. Now, I know this is not the standard explanation of evolution, and so be it. But there has to be something that is irreducible, behind which there is nothing. And if you think matter is the irreducible substance of existence, then you have a problem. Matter becomes molecules, which become atoms, which become particles, which disappear into waves of possibility. So fundamental reality is the superposition of infinite possibilities, I'd say. It is also that awareness that knows itself both as subject and object of experience, and it modifies itself into species-specific minds that all have, by the way, some kind of languaging to communicate with each other. Most of the languaging in species, other than humans, is mating calls, and danger calls, and food opportunities, basic survival. But each species has its own mode of perception and experience, and it's part of the food chain, as are we. But we, as human species, were lucky, you and I, to evolve to a state where we created a language that could create human constructs, language that was mathematical, language that created stories. And so the story of the evolution of the universe is a human story. Okay, it's a creation story, and it's a myth. It started with some god out there, maybe a dead white male, then gods and goddesses and archetypes. Then now we have the so-called, the quantum vacuum. We have Big Bang. We have the singularity. We have black holes. But these are stories that are created by human beings. And you need a human mind to create a story. And the human mind is a modification of a fundamental awareness that is not the possession of any sentient being. The sentient beings are processes in this non-local awareness, which has innumerable qualities if we want to give it qualities, but they're not qualities that are perceptual. They're qualities such as superposition of possibilities, qualities such as unpredictability, qualities such as the ability to focus attention and intention, qualities such as non-local correlation or synchronicity, and then on, creativity, and in humans, the idealistic experience of an evolution that leads to insight, intuition, imagination, creativity, higher consciousness, transcendence, and liberation from concepts. So actually, it's the liberation from concepts that is the liberation also from human suffering, because what we call the body is the projection of stories of pleasure and pain, joy and suffering, birth and death, evolution of the body, also the transition of the body from fertilized ovum to zygote to embryo to baby to toddler to teenager to young mature adult, and then all the way to dusty death. This is how we perceive ourselves, but actually it is awareness experiencing itself as that which we call a person, and that which goes along with the person as the experience of the person, which is totally correlated with what's happening in the person's mind. But the person and their body-mind is not the source of awareness. They are an experience in awareness. So awareness doesn't belong to you, to me, to a frog, to a tadpole, to a scorpion, to an eagle, to a reptile, to a tree, to a microorganism. Awareness does not belong to these biological organisms, which are actually instruments of observation. And the observer and the observed are human concepts. They are born with every observation, and they die with every observation. So there's a discontinuity between the fluctuations of consciousness, we can call the gap, which is the window, the transformational vortex, the event horizon, I'm using it metaphorically, beyond which is the cosmic consciousness that is modulating itself as species-specific experiences. This is a difficult concept for most people to grasp, and I've tried to explain it, and I feel frustrated that sometimes people do not get it. You are the source of all experience, and the source of all experience is actually awareness, pure awareness, with all those properties, modifying itself as infinite minds, infinite observers, infinite objects observed, all fluctuating on, off, on, off. Without the on, there's no off. Without the off, there's no on. But the off is the invisible domain that gets put on. On is going on and off, but the onning of the offing is what we call a biological organism with its individual universe. You know, just as a side story, as I walk through the streets of New York, I look at all these people, and most of them are actually not wondering about these questions. They're thinking about their job, about their relationships, and about themselves, and basically how they see the world. I am here, everything else is there. And that is the sleepwalking of the dream state. Okay, when we wake up from that dream state, we realize that we don't possess awareness. We are a process in awareness. And that awareness is our ultimate identity beyond the conceptual karmic body and its experiences. So what are the few things we can summarize from this? Number one, you're not a person. A person is a human concept, a process in awareness, which is very species specific, and a person goes along with the measurement of the universe as that person experiences it. As I walk the streets of New York, every individual is a walking universe. You are the universe in ecstatic motion, only if you allow yourself to be. Okay, and that is when you settle into awareness, or what is called choiceless awareness, and allow awareness to unfold spontaneously into the right response to every situation as it occurs. Spontaneous right action, transpersonal spontaneity, and creativity. Creativity is not an aspect of the mind. It's in the gap between your thoughts, as are all our aspirations and longings and ideals, and also all our fears. Fears come from the separate self, and its opposite, love, comes from the experience of unified experience in cosmic consciousness, where everything is processed all at once. Infinite experiences, infinite modes of knowing, and infinite things known. To be this, to know this, that you are not this person, the person is the showing up along with other persons in the field of awareness. Prakratim swam vashtabai, vishrajami puna puna. Curving back within myself, I create again and again. I am awareness, and the universe is awareness, and body and mind are not the source of awareness. They are an experience of awareness that goes along with the human universe. If this is experience, this is ultimate freedom, and fear beyond experience doesn't exist. Fear is the interpretation of the separate mind, and love is the resolution of the separate mind into the infinite mind. So when I am totally experiencing true self-love, then I am liberated from all suffering, because there is no separation. Separation is the illusion that comes from differentiation, and differentiation is not separation. And once you experience your de-differentiated, undifferentiated self, there is only love. And that love is the ultimate truth at the heart of creation. So there we are. I hope this made sense.